Writing ad copy to fit in a 30-second slot is hard, but if anyone can do it, the folks at Quali can. Just like their Torque infrastructure automation platform can deliver complex application environments anytime, anywhere, in just seconds instead of hours, days, or weeks. Visit qtorque.io today to learn how you can spin up application environments in about the same amount of time as it took you to listen to this ad. Good morning, AWS, and happy Thanksgiving week for one. If you're going to be at reInvent in person next week, let me begin by saying I'm sorry. Also, on Wednesday at 1 p.m., I will be leading a nature walk through the expo hall in the Venetian. More on that to come next week as far as where we'll be meeting and the rest, but put that onto your calendar. It should be fun. Now, what happened last week in AWS? Oh, so very many things. Let's dive in. Amazon AppStream 2.0 introduces Linux application streaming. This is huge news for both of the popular Linux apps. Please don't ask me what they are, because no one seems to have any idea. Observe SAP HANA databases with Amazon CloudWatch Application Insights. Holy balls, is that thing ever expensive? Amazon CloudWatch Application Insights helpfully points out. Amazon Cognito launches new console experience for user pools. I adore this release, if for no other reason than it starts with, "Tell me about your business case." It says that in the console. That is exactly the missing ethos from virtually every AWS service to date. What are you trying to achieve is the great unasked question. Amazon Monitron launches web app. First, they launched mobile apps for iOS and Android. Now, they're launching a web app. Someday, they'll launch a marketing page that tells us what Monitron is for and how it works. And finally, there will be a launch announcement on a reInvent stage. I am super glad to see that Benjamin Button has found work as an AWS product owner. Amazon Pinpoint now supports Safari push notifications. I took an informal Twitter survey about who enables browser notifications from websites. The only use case appears to be for Google Calendar. I hate to be the one to have to tell you this, Pinpoint team. I'm predicting some challenges in winning Google over as a customer. Amazon Redshift simplifies the use of other AWS services by introducing the default IAM role. You know, it turns out that when 3/4 of the time customers spend wrestling with your product is spent on getting the IAM permissions right, they don't come away saying it was a great experience. This should help with that. Amazon Rekognition reduces pricing of all image APIs by up to 38%. AWS's premier service for laundering your pre-existing biases is now less expensive. Go forth and build things that are both terrifying and deeply problematic. Amazon S3 on Outpost now delivers strong consistency automatically for all applications. This is a big deal. No, not the fact that it offers this, the fact that until now it offered a different consistency guarantee than S3 and AWS regions did. That's more than a little scary. Amazon SNS now supports publishing batches of up to 10 messages in a single API request. If you can sustain the volume or tolerate the delays within your application, this effectively means that your SNS bill can get a 90% price reduction. AWS announces the launch of AWS App Config feature flags in preview, which means I'm probably going to have to redo my walkthrough explaining how to do feature flagging within App Config before this release, which was just an advertisement for Launch Darkly because, yes, it really was that bad. Announcing general availability of AWS Elastic Disaster Recovery. It's funny, Elastic Disaster Recovery is what we call the cloud repatriations that AWS swears don't happen. AWS Identity and Access Management now makes it more efficient to troubleshoot access denied errors in AWS. Nope, that's wrong, and I won't tell you why, is an IAM error pattern that I could not be happier to see die. AWS Marketplace launches upfront contract pricing for Amazon Machine Images, AMI, and container products. It's never been easier to funnel several times your annual salary to a third party with a couple of clicks in the AWS console. Usually that's been reserved for AWS itself. AWS Snow Family now supports external NTP server configuration. Wait, you're telling me that before this release, these Snow, Cone, Ball, or Mobile devices all determined that the time is whatever they say it is? Oh my God. Bottle Rocket is now available in AWS GovCloud US regions. Bottle Rocket is an open source project, not an AWS service, is kind of hard to square with this announcement. The dashboard feature is now generally available in AWS Audit Manager. Dashboards are all well and good, but the service is doomed without a big friendly button labeled Export Reports to Microsoft Excel. Unified search in the AWS Management Console now includes blogs, knowledge articles, events, and tutorials, and oh so very many ads, which is the realistic term for things in the AWS Marketplace. Meet the latest AWS heroes, November 2021. A hearty congratulations to the latest batch of folks who are, from a certain point of view, unpaid AWS developer advocates. Acello uses Amazon QuickSight to accelerate time to value in delivering embedded analytics to professional services businesses. This is what we call a hot lead for the Tableau sales team. This episode is sponsored in part by our friends at Chaos Search. You could run Elasticsearch or Elastic Cloud or OpenSearch as they're calling it now, or a self-hosted Elk stack. But why? Chaos Search gives you the same API you've come to know and tolerate, along with unlimited data retention and no data movement. Just throw your data into S3 and proceed from there as you would expect. This is great for IT operations folks, for app performance monitoring, cybersecurity. If you're using Elasticsearch, consider not running Elasticsearch. They're also available now in the AWS Marketplace if you'd prefer not to go direct and have half of whatever you pay them count toward your EDP commitment. Discover what companies like Klarna, Equifax, Armor Security, and Blackboard already have. To learn more, visit chaossearch.io and tell them I sent you just so you can see them facepalm yet again. Catalog and analyze application load balancer logs more efficiently with AWS Glue custom classifiers and Amazon Athena. Our logs are inscrutable and incredibly annoying to work with. What should we do? Has been answered with use that to cross-sell other services. Setting up EC2 Mac instances as shared remote development environments. The licensing requirements for macOS mean that you get billed for 24-hour minimums per instance, and they aren't at all cheap. AWS's solution is to turn them into basically mainframe time-sharing systems. I'm sympathetic because this is Apple's issue to solve. AWS is forced to play by the rules. Amazon Aurora MySQL 3 with MySQL 8.0 compatibility is now generally available. Version 3 with version 8.0 is surprisingly one of the less confusing things about Amazon Aurora. How StatSig runs 100x more cost-effectively using Amazon Elasticache for Redis. Whenever someone says they've improved something by 100 times, the naive answer is, wow, that's great. The slightly more experienced and cynical answer is, wait, what the hell were you doing before? .NET 6 on AWS. You'd really think that the director would have said all they needed to say in the first 5 .NET. Simplify configuration and increase video quality with new automatic encoder modes from AWS. Look, at what point is AWS going to bite the bullet and just smother Amazon Elastic Transcoder to death in its sleep with a pillow? Every improvement like this is going to Elemental now. The 2021 Streaming Media Reader's Choice Award winners. And look, listener, I am as puzzled as you are by this. It seems that this is a neutral third party that is well respected in a contest that AWS did not sponsor, and AWS's video services came out as winners. Well, that's a narrative changer. Extending your control tower network security with AWS Route 53 DNS firewall. Oh, I see how it is. I get laughed at for saying Route 53 is a database, but you're all going to give AWS a pass for saying it's a network firewall? Also, I really do want to point out here that it should be Amazon Route 53 DNS Firewall. Now, AWS Network Firewall is the name of that service, but it's Amazon Route 53, which means that for once, I am correcting Amazon on the proper use of AWS versus Amazon. How projects can be tracked on AWS to increase accountability and reduce cost. This one company implemented a solution that improved tagging coverage via nagging people to death, is really what this is. There is no dashboard metric for how many engineers and PMs quit to work elsewhere during the course of this rollout. Monitor private VPC endpoint health in hybrid DNS environments while using CloudWatch synthetics. AWS is so unused to having something with a good name that the entire first paragraph of this blog post is devoted purely to praising the term canary for some of their synthetics. Share your Amazon CloudWatch dashboards with anyone using AWS single sign-on. That's not anyone, that's anyone with an account in your identity pool. For actual exposure of your dashboards to literally anyone with an internet connection, the best practice is to use Azure services instead. And finally, because my God, were there a lot of releases this week, dive deep into sustainability with the reInvent Sustainability Attendee Guide. Sadly, this is not about how to attend reInvent sustainably. That guide would probably include helpful tips like shower with a buddy to save water, or AWS employees should not fly to attend reInvent and are expected to hitchhike there instead. And that is what happened last week in AWS. Short week because next week is reInvent. I'll see you on the other side.
This has been a Humble Pod production. Stay humble.